And so, Polly, you, me, and Bex.
Scene stealer.
Yes, he is a bit. How many books have you written?
I've just about completed my 20th.
Blimey, that's a lot of books.
Well, it is, considering I was quite busy doing other things as well at the
Yeah,
time
no,
when I
of
was
course
writing
you
the
were,
books.
exactly.
So, yeah, but they stretch back a long time. I think the first one I published was in the late 1960s, and I had a couple in the 60s, and then just went on, a few every decade since, basically.
And how many novels, how many non-fiction?
There are 10 novels, and the other 10 are all non-fiction. I mean, some of the non-fiction were based on television series, like the Hollywood Greats, the Film Greats, Talking Pictures, for instance. Another one was a collection of pieces I wrote mostly for The Guardian. That was quite fun, compiling that, getting paid twice for work you've already done. It's lovely.
Yeah, old rope and money and all that sort of stuff. And you've written another cricket book, haven't you?
Well, yes. When you say another book, it's not another book about cricket. It's the first book I've written about cricket.
You've written about cricket in fiction, though, haven't you?
Oh, yeah, I wrote a novel called Sticky Wicket, which began and ended with a cricket match, and in between was about somebody working in television in London. But this one, which is tentatively called The Bumper Book of Cricket, is really a follow-up to one that Hunter Davies wrote last year for the same publishers, Quercus, called The Bumper Book of Football. And that went down very well, so they thought they'd like a book about cricket. And looked around, cast around to see who might do it, and some lovely person suggested me, which is fine, because cricket's my passion.
Some lovely
way up
person.
there with the movies.
My friend Caroline Proud.
Your friend Caroline, God bless her, she suggested it.
Exactly. Who says nepotism doesn't work?
No, absolutely. No, it's all, nepotism's okay as long as you keep it in the family.
Exactly. And yes, of course, because cricket is probably a bigger passion of yours, isn't it, than films?
No, I think I put them pretty much equal. I have a huge affection for films. I mean, it kept me off the streets for 30 years after all, working on television. So I have a great affection for the movies, good movies. I think anybody who says, "Oh, I love films," is an idiot, because you can't love all films. I mean, most films aren't worth loving, and some of them worth hating, positively loathing. But I do love great movies, good movies.
But if you could swap all your BAFTA, for instance, and your massively successful TV career to be a first-class cricketer, would you do that?
Oh, good Lord, yes.
Yeah,
any
exactly.
day.
See?
Opening the innings for England at Lord's, scoring 100 before lunch. It's every boy's dream.
So there we are. So baby cricket is a greater passion.
Well, in that sense, I suppose it is. I've often felt that one of the reasons why I never played cricket for England was that I was born without any discernible talent for the game. But then I look at some of the people who played cricket for England, and I wonder what else the selectors must have had against me that I wasn't chosen.
Why do you write, Parley? What is it about writing that?
I really don't know. It's an urge. It's a compulsion, really. You get an idea for something. I haven't had an idea for a novel for a few years now, which I rather regret. But I mean, that was basically when I was writing the novels. It was because I suddenly got an idea for something, and I thought, this is the kind of book I would like to read. And since nobody else was writing that kind of book, I felt it was up to me to go and write it instead. And in a sense, it was a kind of creative hobby, I suppose. In all the years when I was working in radio and television, on the days that I had free of those obligations, I could think of nothing I wanted to do more than just sit down and write something. And this kind of, it's still the same. I still enjoy sitting down and bashing out words. I had this wonderful portable typewriter on which I must have written, at least 1 million words of one kind or another, journalism and novels and whatnot else and other books. And I was very reluctant to give it up. And then finally I was persuaded. Well, somebody came to me on radio and said, "Do you know anything about computers?" And I said, "Not a thing." And he said, "Oh, good. You're just the man I'm looking for, because I'm going to do this program about computers." It wasn't about how to use computers. It was a current affairs program about what was going on in the computer world. And he said, "What I want is somebody who knows nothing about it, but is interested and will ask all the right questions and cut through all the silly jargon that goes with it." And so I was given a computer, obviously.
It was an Amstrad, wasn't it?
No, it
Wasn't
wasn't. It was a Sirius.
Oh, wow.
Must have been the worst computer ever made. I mean, it wasn't user unfriendly, it was user hostile. It was an awful machine. But nevertheless, I began to realise that a computer had, benefits, and I'm hooked on them since.
Because some people never make that transition, do they, from the old typewriters to computers and word processors?
No, that's quite true. I was talking to Jilly Cooper the other day, and she writes everything, I think, in longhand.
Does she?
Yeah. Douglas Hurd, who was also this panel of writers I was convening, I mean, he writes everything down in longhand first.
He's
I
not
can't do
noted
that.
for his books, is he, Douglas Hurd?
Oh, yeah, he's written quite a few books.
Has he?
Thrillers, yeah.
And you and Mum have a very compatible working life together, don't you? You both got studies at opposite ends of the house.
Oh, yeah. I mean, my study's just out there, just round the corner from here. Hers is up there. And we meet up every now and again for a cup of coffee in the kitchen. And usually we meet up for lunch. Sometimes we go out for lunch together. But otherwise, we just leave each other alone because we both understand what the other one is doing and why they want to be on their own and why they want to concentrate. Mm-hmm. The awful thing when you're writing at home is friends who don't understand what writing is, and they walk down the path and they see me at my word processor and they think, oh, he's not busy, he's just writing something, and they interrupt. And you cannot make them understand that it might not look like work, but it really is.
I bet you make them understand. I see you giving people short shrift.
Yes,
Oh,
all right.
come in.
Yeah, I'm not always that welcoming, no.
No. All right, thank you very much.
My pleasure.